I love you. Have a good day. It's easy to forget to appreciate the small things. I think I've done that too much. I forget sometimes how beautiful this city is. Take this elevator. So much work went into this, and I never even thought about it before now. Thousands of hours of people's lives were dedicated to making this box on wire. I just assume it will always work. Only pay attention when something goes wrong. Assumptions, patterns. I've got to pay more attention. I'm going to take control. I don't want to lose where we've got to by not paying attention to it. Some routine is good, sure. But, I don't know. We're getting lazy. I don't want that. It was easy to get lazy, to let things fall slowly into a dull routine. Things are okay, but they're not going anywhere. It's time to take control. I can't think how often we chatted there, talking late into the night. The park is beautiful. I'm happy with him. I have to be sure he knows that. Patterns. The same start again. The same alarm tone that Harry can sleep through. I think of these routines as optimized living, like they allow me time to focus on other things. But I've not been doing that. Harry likes me in this t-shirt. I reread the same books time and again. It's comforting, I guess. I feel like I've barely glanced at this picture for years. I love it as much as when I first saw it. I'm grateful for everything we have, but probably not as much as I should be. It would be easy to think I wasn't happy. I am, I think. I mustn't let it slide away. I usually go to the bathroom first, but I could live dangerously. Maybe I should have breakfast first today. Living on the edge. Yeah, let's not get carried away with changing everything. Only change if it makes sense. I need to get my head in the game. I need to stop running and see what's great right here. Marriage. I should ask Harry to marry me. I want to be his husband. Back when I was at uni and dating Sarah, it didn't feel this way. That was love too, but this, with Harry, I finally get what all the love songs are about.
My first day at university. My parents drove me in a car stuffed full of everything I owned. I'd been a bit nervous all day, but I felt full-on terrified when we got to the student village. I've no idea how well I did at pretending to look confident. If anyone else noticed, they didn't say. They were probably doing it too. Paul, my mum's boyfriend, always liked Will. It seemed like I had an enormous amount of stuff. I went inside first. I had a room to myself in a shared house, and we already had the key. I don't remember where we got them from. Mum or Paul must have picked them up from the admin person, I guess. Walking into my dorm room for the first time, I could only think about my own nerves. It's one of those things that we do sometimes. We forget about the feelings of others. Yes, I was scared about it all, but how did Mum and Paul feel? After unloading the car, they were about to drive away to an empty home for the first time in 18 years. Maybe it was a scarier day for them than for me. I wasn't paying much attention to unloading. My room had a really thin nylon carpet and the cheapest mattress the university could find, I think, and I didn't care at all. It was my own space. Do you remember the first time you had a place to yourself? To be able to lock the door and really tell everyone to stay away, or to ask someone in? I think we all must feel the same. Having a room and being 18, yes, of course I was thinking about dating. I guess everyone was. I think everyone felt like they weren't good enough, like the others all had some secret that made them confident and sexy. It's not like I felt awful about myself, just like I was really average. It wasn't fireworks when I first saw him, but I thought he was cute. Well, kind of sexy. Actually, cute's the right word. I didn't really think about sexy back then, I guess. It's funny to think back, like this, now. I didn't notice Will again for a couple of weeks. If I'm honest, I'd forgotten about him while I got set up in my new home, though he must have been in the lectures. So anyway, I next noticed him through the window of the Union Bar. I remembered he'd looked back at me on that first day, and it made me smile. The music scene was good back then. Blur, Pulp, Elastica, Thingy, Suede. All those bands were great. Not that the Union played them much. It was more dancey in there. As much as it was tacky in there, I miss it too. It was crowded, hard to talk, and the floor was sticky from spilled Alka-Pops, but it was fun. After I'd seen him at the window, I wanted to talk to him. Maybe more. I pretty much went on the hunt. It's not easy to find someone when you're not so tall and the lights are low. Spotting Will in the crowd was hard. It had only been a few weeks, but I felt like a new woman already. Or I was on my way, at least. Will always gave me a good vibe. I know that sounds weird, but there it is. He just felt like a good person. He was too. I joined in whatever the conversation was that Will was having. I've no idea what we talked about. I think I was pretty obvious in my intentions. We had a few drinks and tried to talk over the music before I pulled him outside. You know the feeling, the rush of anticipation? I was getting that so much. The cold night air hit me and I felt a little dizzy. And that was when he first kissed me. We went to the cinema for our first proper date. We took seats in the back row, living up to that cliché. We didn't make our lives easier. There's that date night expectation if you sit at the back. We sat there fidgeting, wanting to touch but scared to. I wanted to hold his hand, but he seemed to shy away. Or maybe he didn't intend that. I shifted in my seat a bit, letting my leg touch his. I was so smooth. I kept looking sideways to see if he was looking at me, but tried not to move my head too much in case he wasn't looking and noticed that I was. We ignored the film, pretty much. It was that silly action one, with that guy who always acts crazy, thingamy. It was like everything else faded out. I plucked up the courage and put my hand on his leg, and he gave me one of his lovely shy smiles. He reached out and gently brushed my cheek with his hand, guiding my face to his. He closed his eyes and kissed me, placing his lips softly onto mine. We sat with our fingers locked together for the rest of the film, and when it was over we walked out, still holding hands. As we were going though, I had this weird prescient feeling. I could feel I was falling in love fast for the first time, but it was so strong, it would end. Will always gave the impression of confidence, like he always had a grand plan. I wish I knew if he saw that end coming too, like I felt it was. I don't know if that would have made how it went any easier. I spent the next day finally doing the unpacking that I'd been putting off. I'd done my clothes and the essentials, but there were other bits to be done. My mum gave me a tasselled cloth scarf to remind me of home. She's a right hippie. I think I brought my old books as a comfort thing. I didn't really expect to read them at uni. They were just nice to have around. Will was going to come over later that week, so I unpacked the candles my mum had given me. I wonder if she suspected I'd fall for someone. She's a bit canny like that. I was falling for him too. Is it weird to tell you this? I brought my first ever toy to uni with me. I know it seems weird for a woman to do that, but it brings back happy memories. My mum and biological dad split when I was 6. It was rough for a bit, but Mum, me and my brother Andy pretty quickly were happier for it. My bunny makes me think of those good times. I kept on changing my mind. It shouldn't have mattered so much, but I wanted the place to look nice. I must have spent ages just shifting stuff around. The little choices are important. I guess it didn't make any difference really, but I was happy when I was sure I'd got it right. I wanted to feel comfortable when Will came over. Will and I, it felt like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing, and just as likely to burn us both as to make us happy. But what a lovely way to burn. I met Will's family. We've been together for 4 months. Do you remember me there? I don't think I really said much that day. I was head over heels in love with him and very worried I'd say something wrong. We were still at that stage where you constantly want to touch the other person. I love that, but I didn't reach out with his family or there. I got nice shivers when he touched me as he poured my wine. Thanks. It was a really nice meal, and we all got on okay. I think I looked a bit too grungy for the occasion. I felt really self-conscious. I loved him so much, but that feeling I had wouldn't go away, that it was all going to end. That Christmas Day, though, I felt like we had a chance. Things were going well, but over the months, I felt the relationship changing. We would watch videos in bed together, or whatever was on the TV. Coronation Street had a transgender character. It wasn't something I'd thought much about before. I'm straight and hadn't really thought about my sexuality. It was just what I was. Will was just who he was too. It's funny to tell you this now, but I was never jealous of Harry. You'd think I would be, but I loved Will so much. I just wanted him to be happy. Will and me were studying English. Harry was on the course too. There was a spark between Will and Harry, that much was obvious. I know some people would feel jealous, but I don't know. being around Harry made Will happy. I'll never forget that time, seeing their friendship grow. I think we both could feel that an end was going to be inevitable. But we still were in love. Though sometimes lonely, in a weird way. It felt like we were the only people in the world. Maybe I didn't mind Will getting closer to Harry because it felt like our own love was too much for two people. The longer we dated, the more we stayed in. We had a few friends that we'd go out for drinks with, and Harry, but Will and me spent most of our time together. It still makes me smile, thinking of that room and those days. We often put on music to fall asleep to. Will had a CD recording of a thunderstorm. The sound of the rain was relaxing, but there were a couple of bits of thunder that would make me jump. We listened to a lot of Portishead. Even now when I listen to them, I remember being back in that room, in his arms. It might seem odd to you, but it was my suggestion. I told Will to ask out Harry. I loved him. I knew it would make us all happy for Will to have Harry in his life. It was something he needed to do. Helping a person find their true love, that's an honour. It's a kind of magic right there. For a long time though, I wish that true love had been me. Let me paint a picture for you of the end. Will had been seeing both me and Harry at the same time for about 6 months. I can see you think that sounds weird, but it really wasn't. We were all open, safe, and honest about it. The picture. It was October, and we met in the basement of the Royal Oak. Smoking was still allowed in pubs, and the faint smell clung to everything. The chairs were covered with a tapestry weaving type of fabric that was worn away from years of use. It was that old, heavy pub furniture. There was the muffled sound of the George Street traffic. I knew what I was going to say to Will. I had a friend before uni who was having boyfriend problems and asked me what love is. I told her that love was being able to tell a person that you never wanted to see them again. Even though it broke your heart to do it, you would tell them to leave you because it was right. I was quite happy with that answer. Like love was something from a Shakespearean tragedy. I hadn't been in love when I said it. I didn't expect to have to do it. I didn't expect to be right. We need to talk.
Oh?
This isn't right.
You mean us?
I feel like I'm getting in your way.
You're not. This is good.
Sure, but I don't know if it's good for you.
I'd like to be the one making that choice.
I'm happy with you. I love you, but this isn't about me.
I love you too. I want to be with you.
I know. But that doesn't mean you should be.
Is this it? Can I do anything differently?
No, you've not done anything wrong.
I don't want this.
Me either. But it's right.
I love you.
I love you too. I loved him so much. It hurt so badly to let him go. I never forgot him. Love doesn't just stop when you split up. It barely even fades, really. It just mellows with age and memory. I've never loved anyone like that again. It took me 2 years to get over Will. I could see him falling in love with Harry. Soft and deep love, not like the fire we had. It was beautiful. Maybe we all could have kept on dating together the way we were. I didn't think of that as an option at the time. I don't know if what I felt was a proper depression, but it was definitely a really bad time for me. I just worked really hard all of the time and got a great degree grade from it, so that was something good for me from it all. I never really forgot that feeling of love for Will, but eventually I dated again and fell in love again. A different kind of love, but wonderful too. But I don't think two loves are ever the same. That's the way it's supposed to be, I think. The way Will and I were together was something amazing. A special time that changed me. It didn't matter that it wasn't forever. It was right exactly how it was.
I loved Sarah. I still do, but not the same as I did then. We go for drinks a few times a year. She's wonderful. It's easy to see why we dated. The breakup. I know she did it for me, but it hurt us both. She really questioned herself. Would it have been easier if I'd been with another woman? I still feel bad about that time. She tells me not to worry, but I do. And what if I do it to Harry, in the end? I don't know what I'd do if I hurt Harry like that. He deserves someone amazing, and I still look at other people. That's normal though, right? This is meaningless. I'll only piss him off and hurt him in the end. Why am I doing this to him? He'd be an idiot to marry me. Tea. My grandma said that tea solves everything. Sarah's fine, now. But we were young. She had time to move on. I might break Harry's heart too. Perhaps I should just end it now. Man up. That's what my grandma would have said.
Of course, as Will's grandmother, I knew him since he was born. I visited him in hospital on that first day. I still remember the day that James, that's Will's father, handed my grandson to me. He was such a handsome boy from that first moment. Back in the 1980s, James was running 3 pubs in London. He was quite into that punk thing and looked a terrible state to me. I would babysit Will as often as I could to make sure he had someone normal in his life. That plant was about all Will saw of the outside when he was young. He preferred to make up stories rather than play outdoors. Sharon was always reading. She taught art history. Never really made much money. Sharon had some problems with the birth, so Will was an only child growing up. He played by himself a lot. Will's mother is an American, Sharon. They met through James's pubs. She took Will away to America for 3 years when she and James split up. They got back together again, though. James loved such peculiar books, all those horror things. That one about the rats. Dreadful things, really. I don't know what he saw in them. James and Sharon both loved so-called music, and there was always something playing around Will. I thought it was an awful racket, personally, but there's no accounting for tastes. I turned it off when I was babysitting. I loved Will. I always just wanted him to have the best possible start and to be successful. I suppose I sound awful, saying his parents were doing everything wrong. I remember an evening where Will was quieter than usual. At first I thought he was ill. He had been in a fight at school. Another boy had been calling a girl names because she had dark skin. Will told the boy to stop, and he was punched in the stomach. I asked him if he had cried, and he said yes. I told him that big boys don't cry. I remember him asking me then, what do big boys do when they're sad? When he was grown up, I told him he would be a good man. He would be able to stand up to others. I told him that he was right to try to stop the bully. Now I think about it, I don't think he was very comforted. Will tripped over his toy van when he was going to bed. I remember carrying him. He was trying so hard not to cry. He was so small in my arms. I've never forgotten that feeling. I have so many little memories making up our lives together. It's odd what sticks with you, though. I took him to bed to read him a story. He went through a phase of being scared of ghosts. Sharon would buy him ghost storybooks, and he had that pop-up haunted house book too. I made sure he could see me looking carefully. He would never settle properly until I had checked the room for ghosts. I remember that night clearly. I remember promising him that I would always protect him, no matter whatever happened. Of course, he was thinking of ghosts still, but maybe I knew then that his life wasn't going to be so easy. I've been reading him Grimm's fairy tales. I didn't like all the updated nonsense they'd been putting into stories back then. There was a short, very strange story that night, called The Ungrateful Son. I'll tell it to you, it's only short. Once upon a time, a man and his wife were eating a roast chicken for dinner. When the man saw his father, who was very old, walking up the road towards them, the man didn't want to share his chicken, so he hid it out of sight. The man's father arrived, bid them good day, and continued on his way. The man was happy with himself and told his wife to get the chicken and put it on the table again. But the chicken had transformed into a giant toad, which leapt onto the face of the man. The toad would never leave, and when his wife wanted to help, she was so afraid of it that she dared not go near. The man had to feed the toad every day from then on, or it would bite his face. And he never rested for the remainder of his life. Like I say, it was a very strange story. Will was asleep before I finished it, which was probably a good thing. strange after reading it. I wondered about whether I really could keep him safe. The world is so unpredictable. I would do my best like all good grandmothers. I could still see him sleeping there now, like it was only yesterday. I never thought it would be easy, but I had raised James, so I thought I would be ready for anything from my grandson Will. The world changes so quickly. Only a matter of time back then before Diana divorced Charles. She'd done that interview, and we all knew it was coming. Sometimes people treat us old people like we have nothing to say, so I started the conversation. I see that Diana is in the news again. It seems like she's never out of it these days. It's about time she stopped keeping everyone waiting.
I think it's sad. She was bullied into all of this from the beginning.
The rest of the conversation didn't go well. Will frustrated me so much. James didn't help. He has always been so obtuse in his views. Sharon sat there, not saying anything, which was worse than her joining in, but I could imagine her American take on the whole thing. I wish I hadn't even tried. They didn't want to hear my views. I said that I was going to make some tea. No one offered to help. Was it childish? I don't think any of us wanted tea, but I didn't want to talk to them anymore. It seems like a strange thing to remember, but some things stick with you. James and Sharon were both adults, but Will... These days it's easier to be different, to forge your own path or something like that, and everyone else be damned. If you go against society, you always end up in trouble. We didn't have all these choices, and we all turned out well enough. I was worried about him, getting all these views. It could get him into trouble. I was scared for Will. I didn't want him to stand out and end up worse off. I let the tea brew. And I cried for him. He was young, but he was old enough too. He was going to make mistakes, and I wouldn't be able to stop him. I knew something had been broken that day between Will and I. I took a deep breath and pulled myself together. It's not the done thing to let others see you get upset. Robert passed away soon after Will was born. I've lived alone since then. It felt tolerable being by myself, until that new distance. It's a terrible thing, to feel detached from your own family. My generation has different values. Oh, goodness, I know that. But I very much believe that they are good. I wasn't prepared to accept that Will wasn't going to talk to me anymore. His views, I felt he was putting his future at risk. Those views, liberalism and such like, I knew he would change his mind as he got older. What damage might he do to his life before he saw that you need to fit in to get along? I felt uneasy about that Christmas. We would be together all day. I remember a Christmas after Will had gone to university, but we were all coming back together for the holiday. I kept in touch with a lot of friends. We didn't have email, of course, but even now they just aren't as good as a real letter. I was down in the dumps, to be honest. It was good to keep busy making the place look nice. I'd been told that Will was going to bring a girlfriend, Sarah. It was important to make a good impression. My family arrived just as the Christmas lunch was ready. It was perfect timing. When Sharon took Will to America, he was only 10. Like most boys, he wasn't much of a letter writer. She took him away from us for 3 years, and I barely saw him. James is like my husband Robert. Kind at heart, but I wish he would apply himself. Sarah seemed a little shy, but she was lovely. She told us about her university courses and was thoroughly charming. Will and I hadn't spoken for months. I didn't know if he understood that when we disagreed, it was only because I cared so much about him. Will was growing up to be such a fine man. He was so courteous and attentive.
Thanks. It filled me with pride and hope to see him that day. He was becoming the man I had hoped he would be. Sarah seemed like such a lovely match for him. He would have a happy, normal life.
But that was the last time I saw her. The next summer, I went to visit Will at university. It's only civil to arrive on time for your appointments, so I started the drive down to see him with plenty of time to spare. The university had a lovely mix of old and new buildings. After arriving early, I went to look at them. So many excited young people about the place, and such beautiful girls, all full of pep. I was also hoping I might see Sarah again. Going to university wasn't normal in my day like it is now. I never had the chance to go and improve myself. At first, I saw Will from a short distance before he saw me, and I couldn't make out what he was doing. Then I saw that he was holding hands with a man. And then they kissed, out in the open where anyone could see. He went and did that after everything I had tried to teach him. I knew that all those liberal views would get him in trouble. I left right away. I couldn't think of a single thing I could say to him. Will didn't see me. What was I supposed to do? Act like everything was going to be okay for him? He was still so young. There are people out there who won't accept that sort of thing. The university suddenly seemed like an ugly place to me. All that entitlement and sense of smugness. All those petty children doing whatever they wanted, ignoring the responsibility of the freedoms my generation got for them. I wanted to be civil, but I was so angry with him, with them all. He was putting himself in danger. That sort of thing. It all just feels wrong to me. Sorry, but that's just the way I feel about this. I barely saw Will for the next few years. I couldn't bring myself to talk to him. I suppose it was silly of me. He had gone travelling after university, and I stayed at my house. Being alone in a house by yourself. I said my husband Robert died when Will was young, didn't I? Being alone can make you live in the past. You watch the world change without you. I had all these hopes for who Will would be when he was a grown man. He's still that tiny, playful little boy in my head, I think. I don't know if he knew how much I loved him when he was growing up. But life goes on. I was working in the garden. Things go wild if you leave them too long. Will would occasionally send me a postcard from somewhere foreign on his travels. He wasn't in travel journalism back then. I was angry. I still worried about him. Of all the damn things, I twisted my ankle when I was going to answer it. I lay there feeling like a complete idiot. I couldn't do a thing. The doorbell went again, but it hurt too much to move. I called out for help. I heard footsteps around the side of the house. It was Will, coming to visit me. He'd come back from travelling. I had been so cold to him, never reaching out, but that didn't matter to him.
It'll be all right.
He looked after me anyway. Inside the man he was, I could see for the first time the same kind boy I knew before. I don't claim that I'll understand some of his choices.
Let's get you inside.
But inside, He really always had been the man that I wanted him to be. Kind and strong. I'd missed that, blinded by only one part of him. He was still everything I could have hoped for. He was even kind to a fool like me. I'll never forget that.
It took a long time, but Grandma sees I'm still me, and that I really am in love. I don't know if she'll ever be fully comfortable with Harry and I, but she's growing too. Maybe for the first time in a very long time. You've got to take responsibility for your life. That's what Grandma taught me. I can't keep fighting for some life of adventure that I don't know even exists. This life, right here, is an adventure. Opening my heart feels dangerous and exciting. I want to always feel this way. And with Harry, I think I will. I held back with Sarah. Maybe we were just too young, but Harry, he makes me feel free. It was only my fear that made me feel trapped. We could start a family. Actually, that's not a bad idea. One thing at a time, though, hey? He wants this too, right? starting a family together. Actually, that feels right to me. This is going to be a big day. I'll need these. First step of a long journey. It's going to be wonderful. I love you. Have a good day. It's easy to forget to appreciate the small things. I think I've done that too much. I forget sometimes how beautiful this city is. Take this elevator. So much work went into this, and I never even thought about it before now. Thousands of hours of people's lives were dedicated to making this box on wire. I just assume it will always work. Only pay attention when something goes wrong. Assumptions, patterns. I've got to pay more attention. I'm going to take control. I don't want to lose where we've got to by not paying attention to it. Some routine is good, sure. But, I don't know. We're getting lazy. I don't want that. It was easy to get lazy, to let things fall slowly into a dull routine. Things are okay, but they're not going anywhere. It's time to take control. I can't think how often we chatted there, talking late into the night. The park is beautiful. I'm happy with him. I have to be sure he knows that.
We loved to feed the ducks on a Sunday. We worked all through the week, and Saturdays we were too tired to do much. But Sundays were our time. That was in the end of the summer, but it was beautiful in the winter too. It was away from everything else. It was our place to be together. It's silly, really. There's nothing here that doesn't make me think of him. He would quack at the ducks. He pretended to have conversations with them, and that we saw the same ones every week. He began to set up little stories between them. And then one day, he was gone. The crash investigators don't know whose fault it was. I just can't get myself to feel that it matters. He was driving, and now he's... They took him to hospital. Someone called me, but I don't remember who. And I don't remember how I got to the hospital. He was dead when I arrived. He loved to travel. I'm more of the staying home type, but I liked how happy it made him to see new places. Sometimes he would read to me at night. I would lie with my eyes closed, just listening to the sound of his voice, feeling my breathing slow, knowing he was beside me. I don't need 2 toothbrushes here anymore. When friends come to visit me, they speak to me in a quiet voice, as if a loud sound might startle me. They ask about the missing objects. I say, I'm going for a minimalist look. They nod and give me a strange smile, but I know they don't believe me. They know the reminders hurt too much. I've been walking more since he died. I've been trying to get away from the memories to find something new, but everywhere I go, I see things that make me think of him. His car hardly had any damage. It's just a habit to call it a crash. It wasn't much more than a bump. He was just sitting in the wrong position. His head turned the wrong way, and the impact broke something inside him. The doctors say it was a 1 in 1,000 chance. I think that's supposed to console me, but I just don't understand how. I'm not ready to sit at a table for one yet, staring at an empty seat. He once told me that you could judge how much money there is in an area by the state of the street lamps. Something about the style and the freshness of the paint. I don't remember. I decided to stay inside more. Keep to the inside. I can control what's in here. But even at work there are reminders. I need this space to be clear, so I can be free. We had the rest of our lives. I had his life, but he won't have mine. I don't understand any of this. Get rid of all these things. I'll get new things, things that I didn't use with him. When will it stop hurting to think of him? I can't stand how I feel inside right now. Something has to change. I'm nearly there. It's all gone. He's gone. But he's not. I can't get rid of him. Why Why won't he leave me alone? I'm different now. He changed me. I feel the space he's left inside me. But it's okay. It's his shape. That's going to be part of me that I carry forever. Denying that would be killing him again. Living on after this, I'll hold on to the love and the memories. That was our whole life together. Brief, but so wonderful. He would laugh at me now, crying over silly things. And hug me too. And hold me. I wish he could hold me again. I'm going to read every one of his books. I don't know about afterlife things someday. Maybe I won't. It's enough to know part of him lives on with me.
I'll never forget him. He reached out to me when I had pushed him away. When he was small, I'd looked after him. But in the end, he looked after me when I needed him. He showed me a whole world I had never seen before.
Okay, so this is the mouse. Yeah, so you can use this to click on things. Yeah, this bit's called the cursor. Yeah, where the arrow is. No, yeah, move it up there. No, you have to double click. Yeah, click up here. That's it, just over there.
He often visited over the years. Everything was changing fast. He was changing too, becoming mature. And then you came to see me. And then you told me what had happened.
It's one of those strange things. I had just been thinking about Will. We met up again when he started doing travel writing for that agency in London. I was surprised at how good it felt to see him again. We'd hang out now and then. He always talked about his family, life, and about you both. He told me how happy he was. And then you called me. Hello? He was happy at the end.
He loved you both so much. I still keep on thinking I'll see him again, or that he's walking beside me just in the corner of my eye. It's silly, really. I couldn't understand how life could be so cruel, taking him away. But life wasn't cruel. Life gave him to us to begin with. Even with so few moments, we could love him. We always will. After we had talked, I went back to the park, to the place where Will and I had spent so much time together. I had so many more fragments of his life that I had never known. I felt a kind of peace. Talking with them, even without Will, I felt I wasn't so alone. They carry him with them too. I just needed to let myself see that. I still miss him, but day by day that gets easier. It gets easier to remember the good times and be grateful. We had good times, better times than some people get in their whole lives. That's enough for me. After we shared our memories, I went back to the park where I'd spent
I barely saw Will for the next few years. I couldn't bring myself to talk to him. I suppose it was silly of me. After university, he went travelling, seeing the world. I stayed at my house. Being alone in a house by yourself. I said my husband Robert died when Will was young, didn't I? Being alone can make you live in the past. You watch the world change without you. Probably never really understood how much I loved him when he was growing up. He was such a happy, playful boy. And then he changed. I had such hopes for Will and all the things that he would be when he was a man. But life goes on. I was working in the garden. Things go wild if you leave them too long. Will had been travelling the world. I would very occasionally get a postcard from somewhere foreign. This was before he went into the travel journalism. I worried about him so much. couldn't imagine he was really happy. He never seemed to want to settle down. He just wanted constant change and excitement. I was going to answer it, but snagged my foot in the grass and twisted my ankle. It hurt like blazes, and I lay there feeling like a complete fool. There was nothing I could do. I tried to move, but it hurt too much. I called out for help. I heard footsteps around the side of the house. It was Will, coming to visit me. He'd come back from travelling. After all I had done, after all I hadn't done, he was the one reaching out to me. He was the one who made the effort.
It's okay.
He looked after me anyway. I saw, inside the man he was, the same kind boy that I knew. I don't claim that I'll understand some of his choices.
Let's get you inside.
I didn't teach him to forgive, but thank goodness he learnt that by himself. I'd been so distracted by just one part of him. I didn't see that he was the best sort of man possible. Kind, strong, and loving. He was even kind to a fool like me. I'll never forget that.
It's easy to forget to appreciate the small things. I think I've done that too much. The exercise is good for me. It gives me time to think. Technology, elevators, phones, it's all too instant. I should feel closer to Harry, but the tech is like a tide slowly pulling at us. No more. I'll stop that drift. I'm going to change things. I don't want to lose where we've got to by not paying attention to it. Patterns. Every day that alarm goes off. I should change the tone on it. Though, Harry always sleeps through it, so that's something. This isn't what I imagined or wanted. Drifting through one day after another. Together, but not aware. Something like that. I love this painting. And I can't remember the last time I really looked at it. I reread the same books time and again. It's comforting, I guess. think I'll wear this one. It's Harry's favourite t-shirt on me. It's good to have reference points in your life, some patterns. I don't want my life with Harry to change, but it will happen if I don't take control. Even here I get into patterns. Bathroom first, then kitchen for breakfast. Maybe I should change that. Changing the routine. I'm so rock and roll. Tea. A man takes the lead, Grandma would tell me. I guess I need to step up to the line. I've got a great thing here. I should ask Harry to marry me. I doubt that was what she meant about taking the lead. Marriage. I'm not sure Grandma would approve. She's come a long way. It's hard to tell with her.
Naturally, as Will's grandmother, I visited Will in hospital on the first day that he was born. James, Will's father, And James ran 3 London pubs in the 1980s, of that punk sort. He looked awful with that leather jacket and those sort of things. That's not the sort of thing for children. So I would babysit as often as possible to make sure he had someone normal in his life. Sharon was always reading. She taught art history. Never really made much money. James and Sharon would always be putting on some awful music, if you could call it that. Not my cup of tea at all. I turned it off first thing whenever I was babysitting. Sharon, Will's mother, met my James when he was working in London. She's American. They broke up for 3 years, and she took Will to America with her. Will had to play by himself a lot. Sharon had complications at the birth, so he was never going to have brothers or sisters. It's good for a young boy to be outdoors, but Will never really liked that when he was young. James had horror books in the house, and I'm so glad they were kept on a high shelf away from Will. Terrible things. I just don't understand what pleasure there is in that kind of story. I suppose I sound old-fashioned, but there are appropriate ways to raise a child. I only wanted Will to be normal. I remember an evening where Will was quieter than usual. At first I thought he was ill. He had been in a fight at school. It started because a boy had been picking on a girl, calling her names because of her dark skin. Will was punched in the stomach when he tried to get the boy to stop. I asked him if he had cried, and he said yes. I told him that big boys don't cry. I remember him asking me then, what do big boys do when they're sad? I suppose I didn't answer his question. I told him that he would be a good man when he was grown up and be able to stand up for himself. Even though he was hurt, I told him he was right to try to stop the bully. Now I think about this, he didn't seem much happier. What should I have said? Will tripped over his toy van when he was going to bed. I remember carrying him. He was trying so hard not to cry. He was so small in my arms. I've never forgotten that feeling. It's most odd what sticks with you. A whole patchwork of memories making up our lives. I took him to bed to read him a story. He liked ghost stories, but I thought he was too young for them. He would get very scared after the light was out. Sharon kept on buying him more, though. He would never settle properly until I had checked the room for ghosts. I always look carefully to reassure him. I remember promising him, while I looked, that I would always protect him. I would always be there for him. I'm sure he thought I just meant about ghosts, but I meant it for everything. I always remember that feeling. I wonder if I knew his life wouldn't be easy. I wasn't reading a new ghost book. I was reading him Grimm's fairy tales. The old stories are much better than these new ones. It was a strange story that night, called The Ungrateful Son. It went something like this. Once upon a time, a man and his wife were eating a roast chicken for dinner. When the man saw his father, a very old man, walking along the road towards them, the man didn't want to share his chicken, so he hid it out of sight. His father came, bid them a good day, and went on his way. The man was happy with himself, told his wife to get the chicken and put it on the table again. But the chicken had transformed into a giant toad, which leapt onto the face of the man. The toad would never leave, and when his wife wanted to help, she was so afraid of it that she dared not go near. The man had to feed the toad every day from then on, or it would bite his face, and he never rested for the remainder of his life. Like I say, it was a very strange story. Will was asleep before I finished it, which was probably a good thing. It left me in an odd mood. I wondered how long I would be able to keep him safe. I knew I would do my best to help him find his place in the world. Any other grandmother would try to do the same. I could still see him sleeping there now, like it was only yesterday. I never thought it would be easy, but I had raised James, so I thought I would be ready for anything from my grandson Will. The world changes. We were all waiting back then for Diana to divorce Charles. It had been such a scandal after that television interview that she did. Us old people still think about these things, but no one was saying much, so I started a conversation. I see that Diana is in the news again. It seems like she's never out of it these days. It's about time she stopped keeping everyone waiting.
I think it's sad. She was bullied into all of this from the beginning.
I could have handled the rest of the conversation better. I lost my temper a bit. James didn't help. He has always been so obtuse in his views. Sharon didn't join in, but it wasn't hard to imagine what an American might think of it all. I wish I'd never even started the conversation. They didn't want to hear my opinion. "Excuse me, I'm going to make some tea," I said. No one offered to help. Was it childish? I don't think any of us wanted tea, but I didn't want to talk to them anymore. I suppose all this seems like a strange thing to remember, but it was a sad day for me. James and Sharon both held their own views. I knew that. But Will, it's easier to be different now. But all he could see was the need of one person, at the risk to everything else. I was worried about him, getting all these views. It could get him into trouble. We didn't have all these choices, and we all turned out well enough. It's not good to stick out like a sore thumb. You have to fit in. Will was only at the start of his life, but those years are so important. I wanted him to keep his head down, not start arguments. I let the tea brew. And I cried for him. He was young, but he was old enough too. He was going to make mistakes, and I wouldn't be able to stop him. I knew something had been broken that day between Will and I. I took a deep breath and pulled myself together. It simply doesn't do to let others see you get upset. I live by myself. I always have done since Robert went. I had felt this was acceptable until then. Feeling distant from your family is the most awful thing. It's the strangest feeling of mourning. My generation has different values. Oh, goodness, I know that. But I very much believe that they are good.